Welcome to another episode of the Insecure Girl podcast, where we embrace vulnerability and explore the complex landscape of insecurities that many of us navigate. I'm your host, Errah, and today is a very special and personal episode. I think it's time for me to share my experience with insecurities and the present time with you all. I'm a bit anxious to share about it because it's going to be real personal and honest at the same time vulnerable. I hope I won't be a laughing stock, but I think sharing this experience will be liberating. I only have one request though, which is don't be too hard on me, okay? Let's go. First of all, I want to say thank you for anyone who's listening to this episode and this podcast so far. I'm very new to this podcast scene, but I've been enjoying writing each episode. It feels rewarding and I'm learning a lot about the topic and the process of podcasting as well. For those who are new, welcome. I'm Errah, the host of the Insecure Girl podcast. I start this podcast to share my experience and lesson learned on insecurities, hoping to connect with people like me who are insecure, demotivated, and not sure how to go about their struggles. I've been there and I'm still there. It is important for us to address our insecurities, talk about them, identify them, and work through them. That is the ultimate goal of being a human being on this planet. So, here's a background story about me before I get personal with you on my current insecurities. I'm just an ordinary person in her mid-30s, still struggling with insecurities because I have yet to work through them. I'm just like you, always doubting myself and feeling lost in the fast pace of life. But I do have a dream. My dream is to make a difference in the world and create positive impact in my society. Even though I'm insecure and doubting my own abilities all the time, I'm still going to pursue my dreams regardless. But first, I have to share a disclaimer. I am not a professional anything. This podcast is purely for entertainment purposes. I'm sharing my stories to provide comfort to anyone who feels like they don't belong. So, if you do need a professional help with self-esteem, I think that is the better option. I'm here to tell you that being insecure is okay. It's an advantage. You can take this time to work on yourself, which is what I'm doing right now. As I have promised, this is a very special episode and very personal one. So, it's different from the previous episode. There will be a lot of personal stories about me and my experience with insecurities. You're probably going to get a bit annoyed because you don't know who I am, and that's okay. I am a stranger to you. But hey, this is an opportunity to get to know each other. I hope you give me a chance to connect with you so we can learn something from each other. In case you want to know more about me before spending 20 minutes of your time in this episode, you can check out my personal blog, which is called Errah Stories. I will share the link in the description box below. If you're ready to get real with a stranger, let's get to it. In this week's episode, I'm going to share my current insecurities. The reason I decided to share my current insecurities is to make a commitment to work through them. It starts with identifying my insecurities. Later, I will share how I'm going to work through my insecurities and the methodology that I will be using to overcome them. Here are the insecurities that I'm experiencing at the moment. The first one is not being good enough. The second is being partnerless. The third is being unhappy with my physical appearance. The fourth is financial setbacks. And the fifth is the future. Let's take a look at the insecurities that I have right now. The first one is not being good enough. We all have that feelings. For instance, at your workplace, when you're working on a project and you submit it to your boss and your boss made a few comments, that comment feels like an attack on the work itself, which translated to being not good enough. For those who are an expert at concealing their insecurities, they take this experience to prove the boss wrong. But for those who are extremely insecure, this experience can destroy their self-esteem. This is me, definitely. As I try to live my life, I always feel like I'm not good enough, whether it's at workplace, with my family members, and with a potential love interest. The feeling of not being good enough is due to my past and traumas. For that reason, I've decided to commit to work through my insecurities. The second insecurity that I have is being partnerless, basically not having a partner. I'm insecure about it because it makes me feel like I'm not worthy of love. It's not like I haven't tried, but the guys I met seems to only be into my physical appearance and not into me as a person. As I look around seeing others in relationship, I can't help wonder, when will it be my time? When I attend a gathering with my parents, all I see is that everyone is with a partner. I'm a little embarrassed and frequently try to avoid this type of gatherings. It makes me feel insecure because I don't feel the need to have a partner at the moment, even though I long for one in secret. My next insecurity is my physical appearance. Of course, I'm not a size 2, which I like to be. No matter how hard I work on my body, I never seem to be able to get that ideal body size. I want that body because it looks nice to look at. I know I shouldn't define my self-worth based on the physical appearance, but it is what I present to the world. If the world doesn't like the way I look, it makes me feel less of a value. It seems like I have to compete with the girls with the ideal body size and looks every single day. This is not only with a romantic partner, but also at a workplace and on social media. The prettier the girl looks, the more attention she gets. She doesn't have to be smart as long as she looks pretty. Then people will give her attention. It's hard to compete with looks when people don't value so much on intelligence. The fourth insecurity that I have is financial setbacks. This hurts me the most because of my insecurities. I'm at my last hundreds in cash to get me through until next month. Because of my insecurities, I can't perform well at my day job. It's easy to say just quit the shitty job and find another one. To tell you the truth, there's no job out there that are easy. Every job comes with their condition, even if you're just a housewife. It's not easy to do that as well. With lack of savings, student loan, and not making enough in my day job, I'm insecure as ever. The basic needs for me to survive is not able to be met. Thus, I'm so insecure about everything. The final insecurities that I have is about the future. With so many setbacks I'm deliberately putting myself into due to my low self-esteem, I'm not able to see the future. It's because I'm stuck in the present, not confident in my ability to live and the reminder of my past failures. I have come to the conclusion that I'm not strong enough to move forward. Thus, I fear the future. The future is something I'm unable to control because the lack of stability in my life. For that reason, I'm so insecure. With the insecurities personally being laid out in this episode, I'm here to tell you that it's time to take action and change. It's time to do something about it and work through my insecurities. It's important to work through my insecurities so I will feel less insecure about myself and focus on what's important, which is my dream. My dream is important to me because it gives me meaning to my life. I'm actually getting a bit emotional while writing this segment because my dream is the reason that I'm still here trying, even though I want to throw in the towel all the time. So let's get to the solution segment. So here's what I've came up with so far. These exercises are based on my experience and the research I did. It may not resonate with some of you and you may feel reluctant to follow in my footsteps, and that's okay. But I hope you're open to a different approach. Although I'm not an expert, I am a real person. My struggle is real and my intention is to work through them in the most authentic way possible. If you have tried various methods and have failed before, why not give an unconventional method a chance? If you're curious about my methodology, I will share with you in a moment. let's get to it. The first one is to review my insecurities one by one. The reason to review them after making a list is to give some awareness within myself of what are my insecurities. With awareness, I can comprehend of where I lack in terms of my self-esteem. For instance, the first one is not being good enough. Why do I think that about myself? Could it be because of my past failures, or could it be I lack preparation? Both of these answers can be true, which all depends on me. After I review all my insecurities, question them, and be aware on the conflict within, I have to start to work through them, which is the next step. That is creating an action plan. Action plan is a plan one creates to achieve a specific goal. For instance, in my situation, the goal is to build up my self-esteem. According to my research, there are so many steps to building up one's self-esteem. I was a bit exhausted looking at the list while I was doing my research, but the gist of it is to start doing the activities that brings me joy. So I made that list. In my list, I have doing activities such as fitness, cooking, playing music, singing, reading, romance novel, being creative, learning, improving a certain skill, writing, taking photos, watching movies, thinking, being in nature, catching up with friends and family, self-care, yoga, Pilates, listen to music, and so much more. With this extensive list, I can begin to think about what to add in my schedule. These activities will add value in my life and improve my well-being. So what can I add? For instance, my free time is between 5 in the morning and 7 because after that, I have to get ready for work. This is for the weekdays. On the weekends, I have a lot more free time. However, it is important to schedule the activities during weekdays as well to bring in joy in my life besides just working. If I wait until the weekend to experience joy, then it beats the purpose of building up my self-esteem. Instead, it deprived me. Next is to set achievable goals. When it comes to the goal setting, it is all about building up my self-esteem. It has nothing to do with my day job, creative work, and so on. It's purely for inner work. What type of goals that can help me with building up my self-esteem? This can be anything that relates to habit. For example, I want to get up early so I can do more fun stuff before I start my day. I can make it waking up 5 in the morning as a goal. If I couldn't achieve my goals, I shouldn't be hard on myself. I just have to give an awareness of why I was unable to achieve them. To have an effective result, I have to be honest with myself, even if the excuse is simply as being lazy. With this awareness, I'm constantly connecting with myself on a deeper level, and that is a good thing. Try to set at least 3 achievable goals for the day. Next is to record my progress. It is important to record my progress to give awareness in where I am in my plan. For instance, if there's no record, I won't be able to know where I am at in my progress. Worst, if I'm making any progress. Visible progress is essential to build up my self-esteem. With records in hand, I can always go through them when I need to, especially when I relapse. Trust me, in this process of improvement, relapsing is bound to happen. However, without a method and record of progress, it's hard to bounce back immediately. That is something I can prevent from happening. So, to record progress is simple. I need a monthly calendar, a weekly planner, a weekly habit tracker, a daily planner, and a review, and lastly, a weekly review. I know, it's a lot just to improve myself. At first, I felt overwhelmed by all the preparation I need, but in the end, I'm really enjoying the recording part of it. So now, I've been recording my progress daily and always be able to bounce back immediately if I relapse. This way, when I relapse, I can always go through my workbook to get back on track and continue to work on building up my self-esteem. With progress, it's essential to give self-praises. It's important I give myself a praise for doing a good job, even if the good job is just trying. When I'm in the process of trying to work through something, sometimes I forget to praise myself. It's unusual for me to give self-praises because it makes me feel self-righteous. However, without self-praises, it really doesn't help me with my self-esteem. So, in my commitment to build up my self-esteem, I'm going to praise myself all the time for just putting in effort. This includes not just in my personal life, but as well as my work life. So, when to praise myself? For starter, in my personal life, I can praise myself for following through the plan that I set for the day. This can be waking up at 5 a.m., follow through a workout regime, and going to bed on time. These are just examples and what I'm going to do immediately. As for my day job, I can praise myself for being brave to present in front of difficult prospects. In difficult, I mean prospects with a lot of demands, difficult to interact with, or just plain rude. These are not my favorite prospects, but I have to engage with them regardless because it's a part of my day job. Also, I'm going to praise myself for making plans for my day, having strategies, and worked on preparation, and so on. Perhaps while doing all of these, I may enjoy the process. Again, when praising myself, I like to do it in silence because success is for my acknowledgement and not for others. And the last one to build up my self-esteem is to have faith. What I mean about having faith is about having faith in myself. The world is a scary place and I'm on my own. I've lost my safe net, which I've discussed in the previous episode. If you need more context, you can take time to listen to the previous episode. Having faith is about believing in myself and my own capabilities to face life's challenges and come up from it a victory. This is something that I have a hard time doing. When you experience so much failure and trauma from numerous incidents, you begin to lose faith in yourself to experience the unpleasantness again. But without faith in myself, how can I go on? That is the tricky part. Even so, I have to try to go on. So, how do I do that? To tell you the truth, I don't really know. That means I have to go back to the drawing board to find some answers. It starts with, how do I have faith in myself again after so many failures? I typed that up into Google and so many solutions popped up. Voila! I guess to have faith in yourself again is to have the willingness to overcome the setbacks. In my case, shattered self-confidence. I need to rebuild it again. There are so many ways to have faith in yourself. As for me, what I'm going to do is to engage in activities that I love, which are writing, learning, and thinking. This is the first step to have faith in myself again. The rest of it I will figure out along the way. Hey, we're almost at the end of this episode. Let's recap. Being insecure is not pleasant, doubting all the time and questioning our capabilities. It's not easy to go about our days walking on eggshells. For that reason, it's crucial for us to work through our insecurities. As for me, talking about it helps. The problem is, I have no one to talk to about this. For that reason, I created this podcast. By listing my insecurities, I become more aware of what I need to work on. Being insecure is not ideal, but it's okay to have that feeling as long as I'm willing to work through them and come up from it a victory. To work through our insecurities, first we have to be honest with ourselves. That is what I'm doing in this episode. So my insecurities are not being good enough, insecure for not having a partner, not happy with my physical appearance, financial setbacks, and worry about the future. With this awareness, I can do something about it. The first step is to build up my self-esteem. It's not going to be easy, but I believe it's possible. It starts with analyzing the insecurity I've listed down. Why do I feel this way, and so on. Once I'm aware of where I'm at with my insecurities, I can start to create an action plan to build up my self-esteem by adding the activities that I love to do in my daily schedule. So it won't just be all about working. To be more effective in the process of growing, setting achievable goals help. I will start with something very simple as waking up 5 in the morning. After completing numerous tasks, I have to remind myself to give self-praises for putting in effort or even just trying. All effort counts. That's important even if it's not the result that I want. Last but not least, always have faith in my capabilities to face life's challenges even after experiencing so many failures and trauma. Just go back to the drawing board and I'll find my answers definitely. Finally, we have reached the end. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the content I provided in this week's episode. I'm just an ordinary person sharing my personal stories, hoping to help others in my situation. If you really need help with self-esteem, it's better to find a professional to help you with your struggle. This podcast is purely for entertainment purposes, and my goal is to provide a safe space for people like me who struggle with insecurities, to let them know that they are not alone in this journey. By sharing my stories and being honest with myself about my insecurities, I believe it will give you the courage you need to be honest with yourselves about your insecurities. I know it's not pleasant to look deep within ourselves, especially when we're extremely vulnerable, but it's necessary to grow and improve and become the better version of ourselves. I want that for you. I hope you want that for yourself as well. So, if you have enjoyed this episode, you will enjoy next week's episode, where I'll be talking about healing ourselves as the first step to overcome our insecurities. I hope you will join me next week and gain new insight. New episode will be up every Monday. You can subscribe and get notifications so you won't miss an episode. Thank you for listening, and I'm really excited to engage with all of you in next week's episode. Once again, welcome to the Insecure Girl podcast. I'm your host, Errah. Until next time, have a good day.